Words have the power to push away or they have the power to attract. And it's not just what you're saying, it's how you say it, and it's also the timing. You just got to be coachable. Today, I'm going to give you some steps on how to use your words and start the process of using your mouth to attract your wife back, and also to use your ears to make sure that she feels like she's listened to. Step one is if you're in a position where she'll still listen to you and you guys have a relationship whatsoever, one of the things that often triggers most men, especially if you're an alpha or you're a type A, or maybe you're just exhausted, you work all the time and you just don't want to hear constant chatter about problems. If you're experiencing that right now, it's because you're in a habit, in a dynamic where she doesn't feel listened to and she's constantly wanting to bring up the task, depending on her personality, things that need to be tended to, like kids or baby showers, everyday things that do need to be addressed, but maybe they're not important to you. And you feel like she's become a nag, she's become overwhelming, and she's starting to feel like you don't care about her and you're starting to have arguments. One of the biggest and best things that you can do today is you go to her and say, it's important to me that you feel heard. Even if you're separated, say, listen, I value you as a person. I want you to feel heard. We still have some things that we're dealing on in the separation, or if we're walking into a divorce. I want you to feel like I see you. The way that you can do that is propose to her, hey, once a week, can we set aside time on Wednesday at 3 o'clock for a 45 to a 60-minute business meeting where we do housekeeping tasks? We talk about the kids, we talk about drop-off, we talk about pickup, we talk about sports, we talk about family affairs, wedding showers, baby showers. We talk about divorce proceedings, like you have to be here at this date, whatever. Anything that's of a business nature. So what is a business nature? For you as a man, anything you don't really want to talk about all the time, that you feel like she's become a nag, those are things that you incorporate into the weekly business meeting. She has an opportunity to say these things, and you're intently listening. Your cell phone is turned off. It's a meeting on your calendar. It's something that you hold fast to. But all of the things that come up through the week that are not fun, that you never talked about when you were dating, that caused you to fall in love with her fall in love with you, which ultimately led to the bedroom and a marriage or moving in with each other, which created the environment for the long-term relationship. All of those things that are business or they're not fun stuff, they all need to be addressed in your weekly business meeting. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't talk about issues that come up as they come up. Maybe one of the kids, they were supposed to be picked up by Dr. So-and-so or Beth or Susie, and she didn't do that. And now she needs you to pick last minute, or you need her to pick up last minute. Things will come up. But what you can do is you can table all the stuff that's not fun, that doesn't just come up last minute, for a weekly business meeting. And this will help you create an environment where your communication is actually more intimate, builds intimacy, and provides a greater opportunity for being polite, positive, and playful, which means being fun. So when you're not constantly stressed out by the constant problems and the constant issues, because you organize all of that into one day, into a 1-hour conversation, sometimes less, sometimes a little more, then that gives you an opportunity to build attraction both ways. Even if her goal isn't to work in the relationship, yours still can be. And this is something that can create an environment to eliminate a huge obstacle that you have now, to begin the process of being friends again, mutual respect. When a woman respects you, it's really easy for her to turn respect into love. Whenever you feel respected, you feel loved, because for a man, respect is love. So the next thing is in everyday general conversations. I'm not talking about your weekly business meeting. Whenever she says something that triggers you, you've got to get out of the habit of being triggered. So it's okay to act the way that a man should be, which is calm, cool, collective, and you're a stable man. But what's not okay is becoming emotionally reactive. She triggers you by pressing a button, and then you respond in a way that creates an argument in the relationship, and that's killing love, that's killing respect, and that's hurting the relationship. So many people want to say, oh, okay, I had an affair, or this happened, or that happened, or she had an affair. And we want to focus on the problems and how do we fix that. But the problems are never the problem. And working on the relationship is always what's never going to work. What is going to work is learning how to talk again. How do I become, in every engagement, every opportunity to have a conversation with her, positive, polite, and playful? because that will naturally attract her back to you. Even if the attractiveness is starting out becoming friends again, it will create an environment of love and respect that can ultimately lead to the bedroom, that can lead to restoring the relationship. So one of the things that you can do that will help you actually respond in a way that's different than what you've been responding is anytime you feel like your buttons have been pressed and you feel like you want to respond to that because like you're pissed off, you disagree with her, you want to prove your point. Hey, all of that stuff might be true and rightfully so. She might deserve what you're wanting to dish out. But what are your goals? Is your goal to be right, or is your goal to have the relationship restored? So what you have to get in the habit of doing when you feel like you've had the buttons pressed and you're overwhelmingly emotional because you've decided to transition into the feminine way of being, which is responding based on your feelings, because that's not a masculine trait. And I'm not saying that you're a wuss if you've got yourself there. 100% of all men have got ourselves there because nobody ever taught us how is a masculine man, a 1% of a 1% of man, supposed to respond when they feel this way? Do we get to respond differently? Do we get to respond in the masculine instead of walking in our feminine? And yes, we do. And the way that we start the process of changing is when I'm emotionally triggered, I tell myself psychologically, sometimes out loud, sometimes silently, depends on your situation, shut up, shut up, shut up. So she pressed my buttons, and now I want to emotionally blow up, and I need to tell myself, I get to tell myself, Denver, shut up, shut up, shut up, because the way I'm feeling, the words that are about to come out of my mouth are not going to create an environment that's going to get me one step closer to my actual goals of restoring and keeping this relationship. So I get to shut up, shut up, shut up, no matter what. Now, when she is talking to you, step number 3 is acknowledge by repeating back to her what she is saying. Ask questions. So she's talking about Jennifer did this at work and da 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 da, and all of this stuff that maybe used to irritate you. If you really actually care about this woman, then you need to start studying her again the way that you did when you guys were dating. Find out, how is she thinking? Because if you can understand what's on her heart, what she's thinking, you'll begin the understanding of how is she feeling. And for a woman, however she's feeling at any given moment, for her, that is her truth. And lucky for you, you can use this to your advantage, not in a way to manipulate her, but in a way to understand the person that you actually want to be involved in your life. Because the best part about a woman, for her feelings being her truth, is that, like men, our feelings can change on a dime. So if she's feeling this way at this very moment, the way that you can respect her and cause her to respect you, and then everybody feels loved, is you acknowledge that you're listening when she speaks. And all men want to come in and fix the problem, because if she's talking, a lot of times she's telling you about an issue that's going on in her life. A lot of times it's an issue that's a problem, whatever. And it's really not even a problem. It's just right now she feels like it's a problem. So she's expressing that to you, and you can kind of ask questions. One of the biggest things that you can ask her is, hey, when Susie did that, how did that make you feel? And she's like, oh my gosh, Denver is listening to me. Like, oh my gosh, a man's asking me, how did that make me feel? So you can ask questions and paraphrase back to her that, oh, that happened, and that, because that confirms that you're listening to her. Answer questions after you confirm she really wants an answer. So if she comes back and says, what do you think about that? To this day, I always still respond, well, do you really want to know what I think about it? Or you just wanted me to listen to you? Because I hear you, girl. I hear Susie did that and that was bad. And I'm like, but do you really want my opinion? I will tell you 60% of the time, my wife today will come back and say, no, I just really want you to listen to me. And she'll giggle. And that perception of you in that moment is positive, polite, and playful. And if you're playful with her, then it's going to start the process of her feeling playful with you. And what does playful with you mean? It means bedroom time later on, because it creates intimacy in the communication, which this is you actually penetrating into her heart and letting her know that you care. And women are designed to be penetrated by a man, penetrated emotionally, and marriage penetrated spiritually. And in the actual covenant of marriage, and in your long-term relationship, if you're there also, penetrated physically, because that actually is what seals the deal where you become one. So ask her questions. Ask her, do you really want me to answer, or do you just want me to listen? She won't perceive it as weird. She will perceive it as positive, polite, and very playful, depending on how you ask it. Ask with a smile. Genuinely care about what she is saying and make note to remember it in your mind. So when she's talking to you, actually be invested in the conversation. And that way it shows that you're invested in the relationship. It lets her know that whatever she's saying, whatever she's feeling, which is really what she's saying, I'm feeling this, so it's coming out of my mouth, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And for a woman, she has a lot more heart, a lot more overflow. And you can become a very masculine, attractive man by being there to listen and occasionally asking some questions to show her, hey, I care about your heart. I care about what's on your heart. Okay, so make a mental note to remember certain things. This is called seeing into her heart. You're penetrating her heart when you see into a woman. That is intimacy, which is intimacy. That's the definition of intimacy. Truly caring and penetrating her heart, which makes her open up to physical penetration later on to bond the relationship. What this is going to do, if you'll listen and you'll practice and you'll implement these things, this creates an environment of what she perceives and what you can now say as a fact is emotional safety. It makes her feel good and it increases her attractiveness for you. There's levels of attractiveness that you can work on to increase. It's spiritual, physical, intellectual, your character, and your emotional. When she feels heard, this increases a lot of times in your spiritual attractiveness, but it also very much so makes you an extremely safe, emotionally attractive man. And in a long-term relationship, it will never last. You will never have a long-term relationship that lasts if you don't provide an opportunity that exists for her to have emotional safety with you, because it's a backbone of a relationship for a woman more often than not. So these are some things that you can do today. Now, if you've already tried some of this and she's pushed your buttons and it backfired on you, because for a woman, it's not about all of the things that you do, okay? You can do 100 things right and you're getting all of these wins, right? But let's say if you're in your second or your third or your fourth relationship and you're starting to see a trend of relationship failures, the contributing factor here is you. And you have an opportunity now to turn those tides in your favor. And that starts with a quality conversation the right way through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of actually how to do it. It's not hard. It's going to be one of the easiest things that you've ever done in your life, but it does require an actual new way of thinking. And for most men, time is not on your side if you're trying to save the relationship. If you're facing a separation, you have to speed up the way that you do this. DenverGriffin.com. You can go there and register for my free masterclass. And at the end of that, I give you an opportunity to apply to work with me, because in the course, what we do is we provide 7 weeks, every single day, 35 days in a row. We implement a new way of thinking, and you have a support group of other men holding you accountable, so that this is something that's going to be the easiest thing that you've ever done in your life, even though it is the exact opposite of anything else that you've ever done. And it's always going to be the exact opposite in your responses of what you feel like you should do. That's walking in the feminine. I teach you how to walk in the masculine, and I've surrounded a community of men to help hold us all accountable, so that this is actually a new way of being, a transformation that not only changes us as a man and makes us a 1% of a 1% of man that is attractive to everybody that we have in work relationships, your children. You can look at the testimonials on my YouTube channel where every single one of the men says, my parents are more attracted to me, I'm closer to them, or my children, or my work partner relationship, the guys at the gym, the people at the polo club, at the fishing club, the sailing club. Not only do you become a more attractive man, like that movie with Gaston on it, I think it's Beauty and the Beast or something like that, and all of the men want to be like Gaston. This is you becoming like Gaston, but it's not how you've been subconsciously trained your whole life. It's not the patterns that you've been taught by another man, because the odds are he was never taught that if there was a man in your life, or maybe there wasn't a man in your life. This teaches you a new way of being, But if you're trying to do it fast enough in a way that's going to keep your relationship, save your marriage, you're going to need to immerse in it and you need to do it quick. denvergriffin.com. Check out that free masterclass and apply to work with me. 3 at number 5. So I'm posting